Hello and welcome to Timer Tip Tuesdays. This is going to be a guest timer segment with Jim Lang, who is the timer and operator of Big White Trailer. We're also going to be talking a little bit about a 12-hour lap event that he puts on end times. Big White Trailer is located in Erie, Pennsylvania, and provides comprehensive race day timing technology and services, including road races, lap events, trail races, cycling, triathlons, duathlons, venture races, so timing, scoring, race prep, course measurement, full package there. Then Jim is recognized for completing all 4 timer certifications available at RunSignup, which includes the race day scoring, race joy, race day check-in, and RunSignup timer certification. So I'm going to kick it over to Jim now.
Hi everyone. I'm talking about lap races with RunSignup and race day scoring. I want to talk a little bit about the event. We have a 12-hour event that starts at 6:30 in the morning and ends at 6:30 in the evening. And runners may start and finish anytime within those 12 hours. So if you want to run for a full 12 hours, show up at 6:15, pick up your chip and go at 6:30, and at 6:30 p.m. we'll record however many laps you have done and give you a time and a distance for that. But you can come and go as you please. So folks that want to run for 3 hours, or they want to get a marathon in, or a half marathon, or whatever distance they want, they can come, show up whenever they want, run, and when they're done, they just say, "Hey, I'm leaving. Goodbye," and we'll score whatever they've done. As of today, we have 3 courses. One is a short paved trail. It's less than a mile around, and it only exists because there are people that want a short paved trail to run around. I think it's boring, and I would get rid of it if I could, but I'll take care of the people that want it. The medium course is mixed trail and woodland trail, and if a runner chooses that, they're going to get their feet wet. Since it's in late October in Northwest Pennsylvania, chances are good that there will be rain or snow at least part of the time, and I think it's a kind of pleasant course. The long course we just added this year, had to get approvals. Several folks have asked for running on a road course, and because we're out in a township away from the city and low traffic, they let me add a road variant of the course, and it's a little over 4 miles to go around, and that is running on just pavement. There's a gravel parking lot to run through, but nobody's going to get muddy for that. And you can do as many laps as you want. We'll record based on the course and the number of laps you've done. We'll record your distance, your time, your pace, give you your segment times and all that. The race actually started back in the early 80s. Some of the founding members of the Erie Runners Club decided that they wanted to do a 12-mile race, and they ran the back loop of Presque Isle State Park in Erie, and all they recorded was their time and the number of laps that they did, and there aren't very many records of them. I do have some of the results that Mike Vieira, one of the founding members, dug up for me, and Dick Sitter did 56 miles that year, and we thought it was an interesting history of the course and of the club. Sometime after the race started, they decided that getting off the roads and a shorter course, a shorter lap, would be something they'd like to try. So there's one section at the Waterworks area of Presque Isle that there's an almost perfect mile, something like 20 yards short of a perfect mile, the loop that they found. So with a few cones and caution tape, they extended that loop to a full mile, and they counted 50 some laps, gave you 50 some miles. And that was the scoring of the race up until the early 2000s. And the key for all of it was the director at the time, Rick Furco, didn't want to really score. He wanted people to have an accomplishment and be able to talk about it, but it wasn't a competitive race. And we try to keep that spirit alive. So everything was manually counted. You went around, carried a cardboard card with you, and every time you went past the tent, they punched your ticket, and it counted a lap. And the cards went up to 50 miles, and the people that got to a second card were really proud of themselves. Can't blame them at all. But the results weren't compiled right away. You'd check in when you were leaving, and they'd say, okay, Dick Sitter, you did 86 or 56 laps. They'd write it down, and they'd type it all up, and it would go in a newsletter and go out the next month. With the computer age, it got to be where the results were compiled, typed up, and posted on the website that evening. But that was about it. About 2005, 2006, I talked the race director into adding chip timing, not to get times for people because you still didn't want to time it, but to get the counts right. Because we had one guy did 86 laps, but we couldn't verify it. We had no way of proving that the guy did it. And you know, when you do 86 miles in 12 hours, you want to have something to back it up. So we added chips to it just so that we could get an accurate count of laps. We could go back and look at the data, and that got the foot in the door, so to speak. The event is held at Presque Isle, which is peninsula out in Lake Erie, and in October it gets windy, it gets rainy, it gets snowy, and quite frankly, the race was dying out there. We had 30-some people the last year we held it at Presque Isle, and we packed up by 5 o'clock in the evening because everybody was gone. So we moved it to a local park in Harbor Creek, Pennsylvania, which is again just outside of Erie. And the appeal there was an off-road course that I could get. It was 1.05 miles, but I could get a nice lap in, and the cost was low, and it had the added benefit of being not a Pennsylvania state park. We were allowed to have beer as well, and runners for some reason like to have beer, so that was a selling point, and we increased participation immediately, and we've been growing slowly ever since, and now we're up to 3 courses, the 3 courses I described. I do chip scoring and times and everything. It's still not really a race. I'm not saying, you know, so-and-so won or anything, although this year we are going to recognize the people that do the most distance. Whoever gets the most laps, the most miles in, we'll have a special award for them. And for the road course, because they're actually leaving the park now, we're going to require them to use RaceJoy. I had trouble selling RaceJoy to 5Ks and 10Ks. They don't see the value in it. But the local marathon and half marathon, there was a lot of interest in it, and it was really, really useful for keeping track of runners. While I was scoring the race, I could keep an eye on the people in the tail of the race and know about where they were and be able to tell the organizers where the end of their race was. So we're adding RaceJoy for the long course in the trail race. 2015, 2016, I started to take advantage of RunSignup's results integration. Sometime before that, we started the registration for this race, and now I'm starting to take advantage of the email V2 for contacting participants, letting know registration is open. This past year, I started sending out surveys to get an idea of what people thought of the race, what they would like to see to improve the race, what they thought worked well, what they thought didn't work well. And in fact, that's how I got the information about people wanting a road course and people wanting some recognition for the overall highest mileage. I also started taking advantage of the results notifications for as many races as I can. And people seem to appreciate the fact that when they cross the finish line of a 5K or a 10K, they get notification that, hey, here's your time, and here's your place, and posting of immediate results on all my bibs. I have a QR code that folks can scan, takes them to my results page, and takes them to, and they can find their race and go to the searchable results immediately. I also post QR codes directly to the RunSignup results, and those get plastered everywhere. And all they have to do is shoot that, and it takes them to the results page. And this year, for some of the races, I'm going to print the QR code on the bib that takes them directly to their results. So Joe shows up for a 5K, runs a 5K. Somebody says, hey, how did you do? He can shoot his own bib and see his own results on RunSignup. I really appreciate that. So taking advantage of what RunSignup has to offer. So what I have to do with RunSignup to make the lap race work is basically put in the lap size. So 0.68 miles for the short course. So if you sign up for the short course, you're going to see 0.68 miles. You're going to do a multiple of 0.68. One of the things that I kind of like is the maps. For the short course, I don't need a map. For the medium course, the woods course, I use the Map My Run integration and post the medium course map on RunSignup. And then for the other courses, I essentially post or create a maps section on my race page and add the links for the other courses, so people can see the course that they want to run. Last few years, the week before or the day before, I'll see people out there checking out the course because they're coming for the race and they want to know what they're going to be getting into. And then, as I mentioned earlier, requiring race joy for anybody that does the road course. Just so that I know where they are. If I have 5 people doing a road course, I want to know that they're out there and that they're still moving. If they're not moving, I'll have somebody that can go out and see them. Scoring. So in order to make a lap race work, and because of the way the race works, where you can show up at any time, it's not a 6:30 start. It's 6:30 is the earliest start. You have to cross the mat to start, and I'm not going to count that mat crossing as a lap time, but I'm going to count it as a start. So you go around. The first time you go across, you start. Every time after that, it counts the lap. And with Race Director, which is what I used in the past, and it worked really well with the 1 lap course, you can only score 1 distance at a time. So what I had to do to score the 2 courses separately was I would score the short lap with Race Director, and I'd produce my results pages and push results up for the short course. Then I'd go in and I'd change the lap distance and score just the long race and produce my results pages and push the results to RunSignup. It worked, but it wasn't as smooth as we would like. So with race day scoring, you can score as many different distances as you want because each race is each event is its own distance. And then when runners go around, they want to know how far they've gone. I have.
I'm gonna jump in real quick, Jim. Just a note for everybody. If you do have any questions that you'd like us to bring up and discuss at the end, just drop them in the chat box there. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm brimming with stuff, and I don't know what all I'm going to have questions on. So I'm trying to give you as much as I can, and I'd love to answer questions about it because I have fun with this. So for the runners, before they come, I tell them, okay, if you're going to do the short course is 0.68 miles, and the long course is 1.64 miles. And if you want to do a half marathon or a marathon or whatever other distance you want, this spreadsheet will give you an idea of what you need to do. You'll note that I don't have the road course on here yet, but I will, and I'll send that out to the runners as well. So I can tell the people that are doing the half marathon on the long track, you only need to go around 8 times. And it'll get you 13.12 miles, a little more than half. And 16 laps will get you a marathon. The short course, on the other hand, you need 20 laps to get a half marathon. And this goes down to, I think I've got it up to 50 miles for the short course, 100K, because, you know, I want to give people as much as I can, but few people ever hit that far. So I give them a heads up like that. For the timer, and this is while they're running around, the recent reads at finish screen tells me, as you know, 5-10 seconds after they cross, Mark Zalewski crosses at 6:28 p.m. This was from the end of the race, but that was his 81st occurrence. So he had 80 laps. 80 laps of the short track, and right before him, Rick Sitter had 25 laps of the long track. So as they're going past, hey, how am I doing? Just a sec. Okay, Rick, you just finished your 24th lap. So this is Race Day Scoring giving me this information. It's really handy to have that home screen available for us. Tips. All right, so when I started timing this, I used Race Director, and I'll tell you right now, if you have a question about Race Director, I don't even have to open the software. I can look at, or you can describe what the problem is. I can tell you what menu to click, what item to click, what to check, what to not check. I'll ask you about, you know, what's the start time for the chip import screen. I know where it is. Race Day Scoring doesn't work the same. So to get used to it, after I got the certification, I still wasn't a good Race Day Scoring timer. So what I did was I pulled up the race in Race Director, and I mocked it up in Race Day Scoring. And I tried several times to get it to work. Thought I had it working. The first year I tried to use it, I went back to Race Director right away because I panicked. I couldn't get it to work. But after I was done, I sent it up to the Race Day team, said, hey, this is what I did. This is what happened. What did I do wrong? And they looked at it and they said, well, you didn't hit the read connector. He didn't turn it on. So it didn't read any of the chips in. And that was, of course, my mistake, but I had a fallback when I went to do it. So the next year, I used it. It worked flawlessly. Use the help. When I first started using Race Day Scoring, Matt probably remembers this, but every weekend I had requests in, hey, what did I do wrong? What's not working? What is working? What am I doing right? And after a month or so, I didn't have to do that anymore because they were immediate in the response. And I learned so much just from reading the responses and then looking at the files. if you notice something go wrong during the race. I'll describe this now because I know Matt's and his team are working on it. I have a situation where occasionally during race day check-in, I won't get the updated roster with the bibs. And it seems to be tied to, I'm importing the race on race morning on this, on the computer I'm using right now. I import the race from RunSignup because I've prepared it at home. I do all the work there. All I have to do is bring it in. And what I have to do is either go to sync settings and save it, or restart the software and everything works. But when that happened the first time, I waited till the race was done because I got it working. I waited till the race was done and I sent it back up to them and I said, hey, this is what's going on. And this is how the race sits. Here's all the information I have. And what's nice about that is over the last year, I've had several times, Matt sent me an email, says, Jim, this thing that you were experiencing before, this is how we've dealt with it. It's fixed. It shouldn't be a problem anymore. And it hasn't been. So it's incredible how much, as a timer, I can help the race day team, and how the race day team is able to help me as a timer. It's built right in. It's wonderful. Note that this is probably annoying, but if they don't know about it, they can't respond. I spent 10 years in software development, and I am now a system administrator. And the biggest problem anybody has is not knowing about a problem that exists. So I know it's sometimes annoying to be told, hey, this isn't working, that isn't working. But if nobody tells them, they don't know. So if you have a problem with any of the software, please tell them. Wow, that's it, I think. Oh no, we'll come back to questions. Final thoughts. My lap race is a race worth continuing. Rick Furco passed away about 10 years ago. And hello? Sorry?
We can hear you guys.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Final thoughts. This race worth continuing. Rick Furco passed away 10 years ago. And I want to keep this race going because I love Rick. He's a great guy. And he thought the race was worth continuing. I want to keep it going. We peaked at around 200 runners, and we dropped to as low as 30. But it's coming back again, as a lot of races are. The race day, I couldn't do the multiple distances easily without race day scoring. Race joy is a real boon for me. As much as I thought it was not going to be any good for me at all, it's turning into a real handy tool to have. And a little plug for RunSignup. If it weren't for RunSignup, I would not be as viable as I am, because they bring my customers a consistent, workable product, and I like it that way. Okay. Now I'm ready.
So Jim, this is James Harris from the Event Day team. Just really appreciate your thoughts there about how you help us make our product better. Again, that's a very important statement that Jim made. Just sending your tickets in on the support, it's actually all built right into race day scoring. You just hit the get help button, it'll send the ticket, it'll send you the actual race configuration, so we can really get quickly down to the question and what's looking at. And we also do that with the check-in app. You can actually get support right from there. But I appreciate your comments about that. That was very helpful, and you have been very helpful to us over the years as we've developed race day scoring. So thank you for that.
Glad to.
Jim, we've got a question here about showing that leaderboard you had there, the really cool leaderboard with the lap distance.
Oh yeah.
Setting that up from Duncan only.
Well, that's the Okay, so in race day scoring, I have one timing point, and that's the start finish. And the leaderboard is just the recent reads at the start finish line.
Yep.
Am I
So
making
just
sense?
yep, just set your event as a lap event, and that shows up. One person I didn't see in there has been a participant for a number of years. You run your race while you're timing it, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I get somebody to babysit my equipment, and I go run 4 or 5 hours if I can. Some years an hour or two. But yeah, I get out there myself. I like the woods course.
Nice. And what are you using to time the race?
Right now, I'm using race results. Back when I talked Rick into letting me chip it earlier, I was using Championship, and worked really well. But those mats are heavy.
Did you have the heavyweight ones or the rollouts?
Yes. 66 pounds each.
So, oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, and then I think 18 or 19, I picked up my first race result system, and I haven't looked back.
Nice.
The bib chips, no matter the technology, the bib chips are the way to go.
So, one of the things that you talked about a little bit was that transition from race director to race day scoring, and a little bit of the advice that you'd give people transitioning from one platform to race day scoring, and just how would you generally recommend retesting something? Would you do parallel? Would you go back or?
Well, what I did, and I can recommend to anybody, is when you're sitting at home or sitting in the office or in your your truck or wherever you work, bring up a race you've already done, and have the chip files available, and then set it up in race day scoring. And race day scoring can look back. So last Saturday's race, set it up in race day scoring, and then try to score it, see what happens. When I first did cross country and race director, I went to a race a buddy of mine was scoring, and I grabbed his chip files and tested them out and just compared my results to his, and they matched, which told me that I had things set up right. When I went to race day scoring, I did the same thing. I took a race that had already been scored in race director, and I set it up in race day scoring, and tried to wrap my head around the differences between how race day scoring works and race director works, and then compared the results. And that first time I tried race day scoring at my lap event and I couldn't get it to work, Matt told me what I did wrong, and I went back and pulled it up and ran it, and everything was exactly the same except for the 2 laps that I had inserted for people because they did something odd, but it matched. So then that gave me a lot of confidence that race day scoring was going to work just fine. And then for the first month or two that I was committed to using race day scoring full time, I had a copy of the race in race director ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell back to it a couple of times because I didn't know what was going on, and I couldn't afford to wait around. Even 15 minutes at 5K is a long time. So I went back to what I knew. But as soon as the race was over, I went back to race day scoring and made sure that whatever problem I had, I got over and finished the scoring and made sure that it worked. So anybody that's looking to go to race day scoring, use your old stuff, compare them, and make sure it works.
Yeah. So
that's a really good point, Jim. Just so you know, we've always treated Roger's old races, and he's as the gold standard. And we have actual automated tests that we run against those. And so it's like down to every single row, making sure the times are right. And so we use a whole like kind of a catalog of races, and we compare against those times. So it's a really good point you're making. If you really want to use race day scoring, compare it to last year's times and time it again, and make sure everything lines up. Great job.
We do that every single week with every single release we do. We compare like how many 20 races we have to ensure that each and every row of each and every report is exactly the same as it was last week and as it was whenever the race was scored with race director.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
You've got
So
other people.
If you're a run score timer, you know, you use a run score race. Same idea. Make sure that you're comfortable with race day scoring.
Yeah, just learning where the thing is on the different platform. You know, scoring, we're speaking French, you're learning Spanish. You know, with your company, you have other timers too. Are they using race day scoring?
They are. The biggest hurdle to making it work smoothly, from my perspective, was understanding the difference between streams and files. Race day scoring, or I'm sorry, race director, I got used to using files. I had a file for my start, I had a file for my finish, I had a file for my split. And it took me a little while to understand that a stream made the files not redundant, but work differently. So once I understood that a stream was, you know, the data coming off of a device, and I could just dump everything into one file, it made it a whole lot easier for me to understand. And once I understood how the files were recognized, I haven't had a problem with a file or a stream in a couple of years. So now my wife and my buddy, who both do races for me, go out, lay it out, and all they have to do is bring up race day scoring and turn on the read connector, and it just works.
Nice. Do you use the backup feature to share stuff with them at all, or?
You mean where I back up the race, make a change to the race, send a backup up, and have them pull it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that with Steve occasionally. If the race director comes up and says, you know, we're changing our age groups. Okay, it's easier. It's easy enough for me to make the change and push it up. So that's what I'll do.
So,
in fact, I sent Steve his race for this weekend this morning.
from this isn't the big white trailer you're in, though.
No, this is the big white trailer is retired. It has served its time. This is my medium gray trailer, but the name just has caught on, so I'm keeping it.
If it works, I like that. Do you have any other you know, RunSignup race day platform pieces that you want to highlight at all? Anything with check-in app or anything like that that would kind of help folks in this space?
Well, I can't highlight, or I can't recommend the check-in app enough. The local running club uses it exclusively for every race. Most of my medium-sized races have seen the value of race day check-in and have switched to that. Makes my life a little bit easier. Makes my life a lot easier. And some of the smaller races, you know, under 100 runners, I'm still preparing packets for them and you know, stuffing chips and bibs in envelopes and handing them out. But if you can go to race day check-in for anything, do it. It's unbelievably useful. I have a configuration for the check-in folks, and then two of my daughters like to help at check-in. They're the ones that I give the configuration for switching events and for wiping out bib numbers and doing all those things that you sometimes need to do, but you don't want to let just anybody do it.
It's a good tip. Do you have anything else you want to share with your fellow timers, or do we have any more questions coming in out there?
I'll answer any questions. I don't know how fast, but
I've got just a lap event, mainly curiosity thing. What do you see as like the biggest engagement piece with a lap runner and timing? Are they looking for the count? Are they looking for the time? Or is it something that you see them kind of doing during a rest interval?
Most of the folks that I've talked to come out, they want to challenge themselves. They want to see what they can do. If they're doing the short course, if I tell them that they've got 50 laps in or 60 laps in, that's all that's all they really care about until they're done. When they're done, okay, I got my 60 some laps in. How far did I go? And that's relatively easy to do. I have that spreadsheet printed out on a table, and you did 50 some. Here's your distance. And of course, the results, the online results, if I could pop them up quickly, I could show it to them, and that's kind of handy too.
Yeah, I know you're running with a phone. Oh yeah.
I forgot to plug the Race Day Check-in results kiosk is awesome.
Yeah, and do you get a lot of direct engagement with the runners? They finish their lap. Do they go right there? Do they look there before they start their lap again? What's kind of the workflow there? I'm curious.
Most folks just keep going. They rarely stop and talk at the timing point. We have refreshments just past the timing point, but most of the folks have their cars parked along the side of the track before the timing point. So they'll stop at their car, they'll eat their chili or drink their coffee or whatever it is that they're doing themselves, and then they come across and they finish their lap, but they're starting their next one. They just keep going.
Yeah.
Not a lot of times they'll stop and chat unless they're done.
Yeah. Are you using do you have a clock set up at that lap finish there too?
I do. Before the race starts, I set it for time of day, and at 6:30, I give them the gun and officially start the time, and then I reset the clock for clock time for the first 6 hours, and then for the second 6 hours, I have it count down.
Nice. So you have a hard stop there, and do you let people finish a lap, or do you say like you have a drop dead time there?
Drop dead time is 6:30 p.m. So
what's the record?
Dane Rauschenberg did an unofficial 86 miles, 86 laps at the 1 mile loop. That was 2006 or 2007.
All right. What's your, if you don't mind sharing, what's your record there? What's your favorite year that you've run the race?
Oh, my favorite year was early 2000s when I first got involved in running. I just kept going for 5 or 6 hours. I've never done the full 12 hours myself.
Got some other responsibilities.
Yeah. But I've done 5 or 6 hours at a time. But I'm not fast like I used to be, so it's more now. I think last year was probably my favorite year because I had the woods course running. The weather was nice. It was a little wet, but the weather was good. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't too hot. A lot of people showed up. We're just having a good time. It was great.
Nice. All right, I think that's covering our questions there. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing everything with us, Jim. So 12-hour races, lap races, race day scoring is a great option. And, Jim's got the proof. You can run your own race while timing it, which I think is about as good of an endorsement as any timing scoring platform could get.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't do it without, well, I could do it with Race Director, but I could do it a whole lot better with race day scoring.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again. Shelly, are we sharing slides anywhere with this one?
No, we're good to go. Thanks so much. Jim, again, just really appreciate you being on our Timer Tip Tuesday and being our guest speaker today and talking about lap races. It was funny, we had another timer today really thinking about the big shift over a run score timer, and his first question, or second question, was all about lap races. So really good that we'll have this recording and endorsement for you for that. Thank you for that.
Oh, glad to. If he has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Definitely a lot of options. Jim talked about just his race, but definitely something to explore in race day scoring in terms of like if you need to add on additional distance for that last lap, or if you want to have some kind of cutoff rule. Just a lot of things that we've added just this last summer for lap races. And Avery is continuing to really scour and make sure that we have all those little options, because it is interesting in the lap racing how the different permutations come up, that everybody has a different way of doing it. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks again for your time, everybody. And we'll be.
Yep. Just before we head out here, on that note, James, I did a recent webinar for lap race scoring. It's a general overview that goes through all the different scenarios you may be able to use with race day scoring for lap events. And it's a deep dive into all of the settings and configuration and everything. So if you want to learn more about lap racing, in particular the race day scoring, watch through this video. It's very helpful. And then, like Jim said, go ahead, take a stab at setting it up, and then click that Get Help button, send us a note, and we'll help you out get over your next hurdle.
Great. Thanks, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Jim. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Jim. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jim. Bye.
Brian said to like and subscribe.